I was in a good company, but on short term, my previous job was great because I was getting paid well. The company culture was great. My manager was awesome. But then I was like, okay, from now to 2 years, probably this is the best job because I could save, I could like enjoy my life because they know I do well. So I have a lot of flexibility, a lot of freedom and everything. But then I was like, I hate the job. I don't like being a recruiter. And every day it's just bad. And I know it won't change.
Welcome to Leap Like Me. If you can't shake the feeling that you're not on the right path, if you feel called to change things up but don't know how to begin, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Lisa Hawashi, and my specialty is coaching people at those crossroads moments in life when you feel called to take a new direction. Sometimes that means taking a leap. I want to share practical advice and inspiration for your leaps and how to keep going after your dreams in a challenging world. This season, we're talking all about career leaps. Come along for the conversation. Carolina Cobo was a technical recruiter who noticed that the people she was hiring seemed happier in their jobs than she was. And as the saying goes, she thought, if you can't beat them, join them. So she started taking steps to become a software developer herself. In today's episode, we get to hear how this recruiter handled her own big career leap into a totally different role within her field. She shares how she used her recruiting know-how to rework her own resume and use LinkedIn to her advantage. She's got so many great tips. Listen in to hear what she found. Hello, Carolina, and welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So first, I would just kind of like to set the scene, and I would love to hear just where are you in the world right now, and what do you do for work?
Yes, so at the moment, I'm in Dublin. Doesn't look like it, but weather's getting better. And I'm working as a front-end software developer at a company called Genesis.
And I'm curious, what do you like about your job right now?
So I'd say pretty much everything. So I have a lot of freedom, trust. I actually saw a tweet the other day of someone that made a change as well. And he was saying like, it was like an oasis compared to the other jobs he had previously. And it does feel like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of freedom and trust on what I'm doing. And it's also creative. Doesn't look like it from the outside, but it's just endless ways of solving a problem. So it's good. The pace is really good as well. So yeah, a lot of reasons I like it.
These are some of the top things that
Yes.
you like right now. Yeah. And so tell us kind of like just what were you doing before? Like when you think about your career switch, what were you doing before and what now?
Yeah, so I was a recruiter. I've been always in the tech world, so I kind of knew that side of things. So I've hired engineers most of my career. And then I decided I was tired of hiring them and I wanted to be one of them because I've seen how good it is and like how well cared they are. So I just wanted that for myself as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so at the moment that you decided to make your change, what was kind of how were you feeling? What was kind of going on for you? What were some of the indications that it was maybe time to start thinking about change?
So there were a few reasons. First of all, so I moved from Spain, and in Spain, once you have a path, you kind of follow along like a career path. So it's really hard to change or to make a career switch. I think that's changing, thankfully. But I never thought I could make the change or to something else. So I just kind of went with the flow of being a recruiter. But then I saw a lot of people like making career changes here, and I thought, okay, maybe here is different. Like I've always heard, like English-speaking countries, the work culture is different, and they were more willing to let people do that. But then also I realized I didn't like recruitment. At the time, I thought it was the company I was working for. because like I don't like agency work. I didn't know that either, so it was my first agency job. But then I moved to another company, and I was like, yeah, the recruitment is just the thing I don't like. So yeah, a lot of things going on. Seeing that door opening was like, okay, maybe I can do it. And I don't like my job. Will I be doing this for the rest of my life? I'll try not to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, so I've noticed this difference too, because I've lived in Spanish speaking countries. So I lived in Chile briefly, and then I also have been living here in Spain. And so I have heard about, yes, I've noticed that there's a difference between, my background is American. So seeing the difference between like how we go through the education process and then choose a career. So just to explain for those who don't know, how is it for you at the outset? Like you have to go into school and kind of choose your carrera, like your career already. Is that right?
Exactly. So basically so we have secondary, and then like the second part of secondary, like high school, and then you have 2 years, and for those 2 years, so you are 16, and basically you have to pick what you're going to do for the rest of your life. So depending on there are like 3 paths, like languages, so what's the name, like social sciences, so it's like economy and a little bit of maths, but not too much, and then science. So people who really don't know what to do end up in social science. That's what I did, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. But then if you are there, you cannot choose a degree in like engineering. So it's not like the way they evaluate your grades, it's not possible. So if you want to do it, you would have a really hard time to get into the university, like coming from a different like secondary education. So you really don't think about it. And also, if you have a job, you are grateful because you have a job, and you will never leave it, basically. So my mom even was like, oh, are you going to do a change now? And like, is that safe for you? Like, is it going to be good for your future? You have a good job now, it's stable, and it's related to what you did in college. So she wasn't too sure at first. So when I told her I was planning on doing this as well. So, a lot of people go through that when they are in Spain. And as I said, if you have a job, you just stick to it forever.
Mm-hmm. So there's like this mentality of like, choose your track. Then if you're able to find a job in that track, then really you should lucky. You're lucky, you should stay put and be really happy you have a job, and like, don't rock the boat. Right. Yeah, there's kind of like, yeah. And so it was pretty high stakes for you then to kind of to switch things up, no?
Yes. But my partner did a switch as well. So he always encouraged me to do so, because he used to sell wine. So he wasn't even in the tech scene, but he got sick, and he was like, okay, I need a good job that in case I get worse will allow me to have a good life. And he made it. So I was like, okay, because at first I thought I couldn't. I think that's what a lot of people who want to switch careers think. It's like, okay, I have a stable job. I don't think I'll be able to do this change now, or if I'm old or whatever it might be. But he really encouraged me to do it. And I'm really happy he pushed me a little bit to be like more confident on myself and just give it a real try. And here I am. So if you really want to, you can make it happen.
So you saw him making a switch, like right when you were thinking about switching from recruitment.
So
is that right?
He did it a few years ago. So he's been an engineer for like 7-8 years now. So he always told me like, oh, if you're not happy, do it. But I was like, I don't think I can do it, because I work and I don't think I'll be able to make that change. I actually did another like HR course because I wasn't happy in my recruitment job. So I thought maybe going into a more HR related role would be better. But then I was like, I'm just tired of this. I want to be well treated, and I want to have freedom and flexibility and more opportunities, not being the one who's always knocking in the doors. I want people to come to me. And that's what happens with engineers. So then COVID happened, and that was another push, because I wasn't sure if I was going to still have my job, because at the beginning we were like, okay, what's going on? Like, people will stop using recruitment agencies because everyone was just firing people. So that was another thing that made me realize that I had to make a change, because I didn't want to be scared again that I wouldn't have a job and I wouldn't have a way to afford living, basically. So a lot of reasons. COVID was a big one as well, and also my boyfriend just be like, okay, just go do it, and it worked.
So let's get into like some of the more finer details of that switch then. So you have this moment of like, you know, it sounds like you were increasingly, I guess the sense I get of you, Carolina, is that you are a bit of a troubleshooter. So and maybe before we go into the details of this change, maybe we should talk a little bit about that. So going all the way back actually to you being in Spain, you're working in HR and you're like, you notice that there's kind of this cultural pressure to like stay put, that it might be kind of difficult for you to make changes within Spain. Is that right? And so how would you characterize what prompted you to move then to Ireland?
Yes. So I wasn't happy in my company at the time. And I wanted to improve my English, because I knew in Spain that was a skill that it is really important. Like, it's a big differentiator for people. So if, I was hiring people, and for us, hiring someone that have lived abroad was always a massive plus. So I was like, okay, I'm kind of ready for starting something new. So instead of starting a new job and maybe just get caught on it, I'll just move abroad for a year or so, then come back, and probably a lot of doors will be open for me then. So I just thought that would be a good decision in regard to my HR career. But then obviously way more things happen when I came here, and the awakening of going somewhere else and seeing other things and other company cultures, and also the company scene here is different, because we have Google, we have Facebook, we have LinkedIn. And in Spain, it's more common to find, it's getting better as well now, but it's more common to find like small companies run by families. So culturally, you learn differently as well. So it's not as corporate as it might be here. And I think it's a good way to learn as well. If then you want to go, like if in 2 years I want to go back to Spain, I know I could work in any kind of company. When I came here, working in a big company was like, I don't know what's going on. I'm not familiar with any processes or anything like that. So that was the reason I picked Ireland, because it had that big company scene. That was something I wanted. So my move here was just to boost my career. When I was coming back to Spain, that I planned
that was originally what you were thinking.
Yeah, but it never happened. So here I am still.
Well, and how risky did it seem for you to go to live in Ireland at the time? Like, was that a difficult? It sounds like a pretty big leap to me, but I'm just curious.
Yes.
Like, how was it for you?
Everything is scary when you're making a big change in your life. But I tried to take things as try them. If you don't like them, you can always go back to wherever it was before. Like, you don't need to marry it forever. So I was like, okay, I'll try. Maybe I won't like it. I was worried about the weather, because obviously I'm from the south of Spain, so I'm used to the sun, the warm weather. So I was like, maybe my mom told me the same. She was like, oh, I don't think you'll cope well with that weather for too long. So I was like, just try, see what happens. Worst case, I'll come back in a few months and I'll still have that experience on my CV to show that I lived there and I improved my English. So also I wasn't hanging out with Spanish people when I came here, because I wasn't sure how long I was going to be here for. So I just wanted to work on my English. So that was my main goal when I was here. But then I came, and it was way better than I expected. I found out a job pretty quickly. It's worse to find accommodation rather than a job. So I was like, okay, just kept going with things, and then met my boyfriend. So that was another reason to stay, and then changed careers and like, all of that I don't think I would have if I was in Spain now. So things developed in a great way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, so it sounds like things like went fairly smoothly, like once you got there, and also that there was like this kind of awakening as well as like of like all these possibilities kind of jumped out at you at that point.
I think so. Like, I think I was lucky. I know people that didn't have such a good experience, or that just came here and they are like they couldn't find their place. I think I just tried to be like flexible to things, obviously to certain extent. So I knew I wouldn't be comfortable coming here and speaking in English, and the weather and the food and everything. But I was like, I have to give it like 100% and try and see how it goes. And if I don't like it and I come back, I will never regret not trying hard enough. So I think that's important as well when committing to a change like that. Like, if you do it well, even if it's just a month, and then you're like, okay, I did my best, didn't work out, I'll just go back to where it was. And I took the change of career as something similar. I was like, look, I'll try. I might hate it, which I am not, but like, you never know until you do it. But worst case, I can always go back and be a recruiter.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have more experience. I'll know better about the technology of like people I could be hiring for. So in that way, it wasn't a bad decision, I guess. It's just scary always, but I think it pays out if you really try.
Yeah. So it sounds like you like had this sort of mental trick of like to let yourself know like that there was always an out, that like you didn't, like you said, you don't have to commit to this or be married to it forever. But while I'm here, I'm going to give it like 100%.
Yeah.
Is the kind of thing. Mm-hmm. All right. So going to that moment of like the actual switch, you decide, okay, I think I'm going to leave recruitment. How can you walk us through the steps that you took at that point?
Yes. So I think I'm a researcher by nature. So I just started like asking people, looking for people at LinkedIn, be like, okay, people who made a career switch, what kind of paths did they follow? What did they do? Reach out to some of them and ask them like, okay, I think I found a couple of recruiters that made the same change. So I asked them. And then because I didn't know, I just got like a cheap course on Udemy to like, you have really good courses. I think people don't value them enough. So I got like, I think it was like 12 euro course. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. I'll follow it. I'll build projects. I'll see how's the workflow, how's everything, and see how I feel it and if I like it. And then I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. But I was.
Do you remember what the name of your Udemy course was?
Yes. So it's called Web Development Full Stack Bootcamp, I think. It's what's her name? She was a doctor that converted into software development as well. So she has a really interesting background. The person who conducts it, I don't remember her name now, but I think her company is called Brew something. I don't have it on top of my head now, but I can share the links with you.
Sure, no problem. I was just curious to give people an idea of like what was your actual starter course.
Yeah, it was like a boot camp. I think any boot camp that would cover pretty much like all the basics of like HTML, CSS, that it's kind of a nice way to get started. So it's not so overwhelming, because then you move into JavaScript, that it's like proper programming language, and you're like, oh my God, what's going on here? So at least if you've done like a static website, it feels kind of easy on your mind. Like, okay, I could do that. This might take me longer, but I probably can do it as well. So I'd say any bootcamp, there's a lot on Udemy. Any bootcamp would be good. I think it's also important to like the person who is conducting it, because then you kind of engage better with the course. So, they always have like a video to show who are like teaching it and everything. So I think also if you I like her because she was a career switcher as well. So I thought that was interesting to see how someone could go from doctor to software developer. So yeah, but then I thought I was lacking a bit of structure and something a bit more formal because of, unfortunately, even the quality is good, the Udemy courses are not valued when you are kind of applying for a job. So then I joined a formal bootcamp here in Ireland. It's called the Code Institute. And basically it's 12 months and you build, well, when I built 4 projects. I think they are doing like 5 or 6 now. But basically you go over different programming languages. So you do like a full stack as well. So you do backend a little bit with Python and then frontend with JavaScript. And also they have a community. I think that's one of the keys when changing careers is finding other people that are in your same situation. Mm-hmm. So they have a Slack channel and it has like 6,000 people. So, people ask questions, they share like maybe articles or things they are doing. If you don't know how to do something, you can go always and ask. So I thought that would help me, encourage me more to also get into it, because I think our career also kind of shapes our friends, because you ended up being friends with your colleagues. So then you move to a new kind of career and then you don't know anyone. So I think that was helpful as well for that reason. And when you're a bit low, because with changing careers, you have times where you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if this will ever work. And then you see other people succeeding. So that's really encouraging as well. So I did that bootcamp, and when I was near the end, so I actually finished it and started my job like with 2 days of difference. So it kind of, I think everyone gets, depends on the case, but like a lot of people get a job even before they finish the course, because it's really complete. Like it's a lot of hours. I was like doing 20, 25 hours a week on top of my 40 hours of work. Yeah. So yeah, it's a lot, but I think it's worth the effort for a little while.
Mm-hmm. And so how long did your whole kind of transition take, would you say?
So I started in April 2020. So it's been nearly 2 years now. But like formally doing it, like fully committed and knowing that was what I wanted to do, I'd say like a year and a half or so, because I started the bootcamp in the Code Institute in October 2020. And I joined my job in October last year and finished the course in October last year. So yeah, I see it like 1 year of like full working mode and just going all in for it.
Mm-hmm. And, as like you said, like there's like those moments of self-doubt, right? Yes. And you don't know if it's going to work, if all the effort is worth it. So what started to be some things like along the way that were like confirming to you that this was the right path for you?
So I was interviewing and I was progressing. I didn't get the job. So like I interviewed with Google and I passed all the interviews. They even let me repeat one of them. Then I wasn't offered the position, but just getting there, I mean, like, okay, I can do well in a technical interview. I can pass it. I can be desirable for potential employers. That was a confirmation. And then so I work a lot on my CV, my portfolio, to kind of have something appealing, because the hardest part is to get in. So I work a lot on that, and my portfolio was like, everyone was telling me like, oh, I really wanted to talk to you because I really like your portfolio. So I was like, okay, people like what I'm doing. It seems like I'm doing well in the interviews. So I think I can get there. And then, as I said, seeing other people with similar backgrounds or people like coming from absolutely random backgrounds, like musicians getting into like development. I was like, okay, it might take time. Sometimes you're like, no, I will never be able to do it. But then it's just focusing on keep improving. It's hard to take those no's in. It's hard to fail. And I'm not going to say it's easy. And I thought about quitting myself because I was like, okay, I don't know for how long more I can do this. But then I reminded myself, like, you can keep going a little bit more and you can still do a bit more and you like it. So just keep trying until you get it. I was also being picky to like what jobs I wanted to take. So I think if I would have been more flexible, I probably could have gotten a job sooner, but I wanted to go to a good company where I would know I would be happy. And I'm really glad I did it at the end.
Mm-hmm. And what were some things like, it sounds like some important things for you were to kind of keep making progress and then having those like outside affirmations, like the job interview at Google, to like say like, you're doing well. And to also like have these role models in the community that you're a part of they were able to successfully do it. What else kind of helped you keep going, even just like on an energetic level of like, because it's so, it sounds like you're working a lot to develop that portfolio and to keep learning while you were still had a full-time job. Like what were any tips or things that helped you just kind of like maintain that energy?
Thinking long-term. So I was in a good company, and short-term, my previous job was great because I was getting paid well. The company culture was great. My manager was awesome. But then I was like, okay, from now to 2 years, probably this is the best job because I could save. I could enjoy my life because they know I do well. So I have a lot of flexibility, a lot of freedom and everything. But then I was like, I hate the job. I don't like being a recruiter. And every day it's just bad. And I know it won't change. So then I was like, okay, where do you want to see yourself in 5 or 10 years? Because you have another 30 years left. So you better be doing something you enjoy, even if it might be really hard to get in, but just don't kind of be happy and content with the short term and aim for the big the big picture and the long term that you'll be happier. And I haven't been in my current job that long, and it is good. It is way better than I thought, and now I can see myself doing this for the long term. So just focusing on that, what's your the first thing is what's your goal changing careers? Is it just you're having a bad day, or is actually you don't like what you are doing and you need a change? If it is that you really need a change, then paint that long-term picture. It might not be the same, but see what you want to get and then work towards that, instead of I'm comfortable is not that bad, because you want to say that it's great, not that it's okay. So I think that when it's hard sometimes, but having that mentality of the long term as well helped me a lot to be okay, keep pushing until you get there.
Yeah. And one thing we didn't go back to with that sort of troubleshooting part of you was that it sounds like there was a moment where you were like, I'm not sure I like recruiting. And then you thought, well, maybe it's just a company I don't like.
Yep.
So it's you tested that by making a change. And then you were like, okay, now I have all the evidence that it's actually recruiting that I don't like. And so now I have to change my actual profession. Right.
Yes.
What did you discover about recruiting that were the things that you were just no, this can't be fixed. This is part of the work?
Yes, it's having targets and KPIs. So when I was in an agency, my target was monetary. So it was how much money you built last month or for the quarter. But then it's better, it's 100% better when you're working directly for a company, but you still have targets and KPIs. And the thing is it is out of your control, because every candidate has their own situation, and they you might be like, the company I was working for, like salary wise was great, benefits and everything, but maybe people wanted a different challenge or wanted to go to the office and we didn't have an office where they were, like, you know, a lot of reasons that are out of your control that then will reflect on how you are performing, basically. So it didn't matter how much you work, it didn't matter how much you did, if at the end of the quarter you don't have, like, you haven't hit your target, it is like you have done anything. Like, you know, obviously they'll take that into consideration, but then if there's another quarter and it happens the same, and then another one, they'll put you on a performance improvement plan, and you might be doing your best and hitting the kind of like targets of like reaching out to this many people, doing like having these many people in the interview, but at the end the decision is on someone else and it's not on you. And you have to play that influence kind of role, which is fine when you like the company, which I did, but then I respect everyone's situation. So if another company is giving you something you really want, you should take it and not come to us. So like, you know, but then you get into that situation, it's like, I really need you to join for myself and selfish, but I really want you to do well. So you get into that, always in that kind of situation in the middle, which I didn't
like. There was like an ethical dilemma sometimes of like,
yes,
maybe it is better if this person goes somewhere else, but I actually need to reach my goal. And so I feel the pressure that they should come with me. Yeah,
exactly. So you can't, like, I always try to, like, if they wanted money, try to get them more money. If they wanted more flexibility, if they like whatever they wanted, I always tried my best to get it. But at the end, I respect your decision. It's your life, it's your family, it's your like professional career. So, you know, some people are more like, there are great recruiters and like they can balance that out. For me, it was really hard to do that because I always thought, like, am I putting myself first because I want them to join us, or is it the best for them? I think it is the best, but I don't know. So I wasn't in a position where I was happy. And then everything just boils down to, you have a target. Have you hit it? You haven't. Okay. Why? So it is more, you can be proactive in recruitment, but it is more reactive rather than proactive in a lot of ways, which I don't like either, because like, you don't know what it's going, like, it has to be reactive because you don't know what's going to happen at the end of the process. A lot of things that are out of your control. So then you need to kind of do it at that time. So even if you're trying to be proactive, asking questions, doing things, people are not honest either all the time. And sometimes they play you to get a raise in their current company, but they keep telling you like, oh, I won't take the, like, if they counter offer me, but then they do. So, you know, it's a lot of things that are out of control, and probably you've seen a bit of like controlling person. So it just wasn't a good match. And it took me a while to realize that as well, because I always thought I could do any job, always. Like, I was like, you just go do it and it's fine, it's just a job. But then it wasn't with recruitment, and I can see that now, which took me a while, and I was probably hard on myself. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, I'm an incompetent because I don't know how to do this. But sometimes it's more maybe the company, maybe the job, and then it's when you need to start thinking like, okay, let's make a plan here and look for another option, because there are a million options out there.
Yeah. Yeah, Carolina, I mean, I wouldn't call it control, like that it's controlling. I think what I really try to do with my clients is to try to find the right match to them. And kind of like what you're saying is like, some people cope with that situation better. And you were starting to notice that like, that wasn't the best thing for you. Like maybe it was really draining it. Like, you know, you felt really involved with it, or, you know, and that it sounds like you wanted work that allowed you to have more of that control, right? That you were put in charge of a project and you could do more to influence the outcome.
Yeah, exactly.
Which sounds like an important thing to understand about your own happiness at work, right?
Yes, but it takes a while, and I didn't either know when I was like going into college. So, but yeah, it's exactly what you said. Just can't, like, now I can think and then action on what I want to do and what I want to try. With people, you can do that, unfortunately. Like you can try from one candidate to another, but it's not as easy, and it's really draining, as you said, because you might lose them because you try something else. So yeah, that really defines how I felt about it.
Well, so can you talk a little bit now about how did you use your recruiter skills to then get your next job? Because I know a lot of people, well, first of all, it sounds like you're very well versed in LinkedIn, like much more than the average person, right? So you can give us some tips about that. But, with my clients who are making this type of switch, I hear over and over again, the translation of their experience into a new role, or to like how to present themselves when they kind of feel like they're just starting out, with those, like you had just newly learned your developer skills, right? And so how did you approach that?
Yes. So what I did was, it is hard to let go, and it was for me. And I know I have other friends that are going through the same, and it's hard to let go all the work you've done in the past. So my first CVs had a lot of like my recruiting career, but then I was getting rejected everywhere. So I was like, okay, this is not working. Let's try something else. So what I did is I had 2 pages. So in my second page, I had all like, my professional experience and like, my degrees in HR and everything I've done. But then I made a first page focused on what I was looking for. So I was looking for a software job. So I had a brief description about myself and my skills. And a lot of like companies, for example, are valuing now like empathy, because that's the best way to provide a good service and a good product. It's actually like empathizing with your clients. So, for example, that's something you really need in recruitment. So I was like, okay, I'll go all in for this, this skill. Then I showed a little bit of my work. So I had a link to my portfolio. I had like examples of my work. And then I also added all the things I was doing, because I was doing my bootcamp. I was reading a lot of like programming books, trying to wrap my hand around it, because obviously you need to do more, because you have less time, you're working full time. So it's not as when you're 18 and you're like go to college and you have all the time of the world. So I just put there like all my interests. Like I participated in like hackathons that the Code Institute was organizing. I was, trying to get myself out there. I was writing articles. I was just trying to show that I really wanted to make the change. And then it worked. Like people were like not focusing on, like, obviously they asked me about like why I didn't want to change, like why I was looking for that. But then when you're having the conversation, it's really easy to be like, look, I'm not happy what I'm doing now. I just I've discovered this and I really want to do it. So you really need to show why you want to change and all the things you've done, and everything counts. After seeing myself, I don't know how many CVs I've seen in all of my life, but I could more easily empathize with someone that is showing me more about themselves, rather than, I work in X, I do this and that. So it's like, if you're like, okay, I'm a volunteer, I'm participating in all of these things that I'm not getting paid for, but I really want to learn. And that's something they told me during all my interview process, like, oh, you are so keen, like you are hungry for learning and for improving yourself. So when you're doing a career change, I think that's mostly the feeling you have. So you need to show that, and show that you really want to, like, it's just not like a naive idea you've had, and it's something you really want. And then keywords. But so LinkedIn is basically a massive database. So the way recruiters search for people is either using the LinkedIn filters. So in the internal view of LinkedIn, you can pick things like names of jobs. So some people like to put like fancy names, and unfortunately that doesn't work for the engine to search for things. So you might think you are being different. I think only really senior like engineers can do that.
Can you give us an example of what you mean by a fantasy name?
So some people use like senior engineer, and it's like, look, because it sounds similar, but like the letter ñ, it's not easily, like it doesn't work in any other engine that is not Spanish. So it's like you are like, if depending on how the recruiter is doing a search, you won't come up, and you need to come up, and recruiters need to see you, because that's like, obviously you need to apply a lot and you need to do your own work. But like, one of my friends, I've helped her, and she's getting recruiters reaching out to her because she's being proactive into her LinkedIn. She's trying things. She's like, putting the keywords out there and thinking. So she was like, oh, I'm not sure if this, because now like she's trying to be a designer. So now they're using more like a product designer instead of UX UI designer as it was before. So she's seen that trend and she's like, okay, I'm going to change my name. And if they look for product designers, they'll find me. So that's what you need to aim for, and not be like, oh, this will make me look different because.
So and what you're talking about is the line that's directly below your name, right? The little headline. So that's like the primary keyword place, or where?
No, it's the name of your job. So when you go and edit a job, it looks for both those things. So you can, as I was saying, you can search in two different ways. You can use those keywords that they have predefined on their search, and like, it's just like you click on it and it picks it, or you can do a Boolean search. So a Boolean search is basically keywords. So you would be like, okay, I want a senior engineer or engineer or developer or whatever it might be, and all the other skills you might be looking for, like and Java or JavaScript or whatever it might be. So you need to have those words on your profile. I think a super easy way when you don't know what to do is copy them from job descriptions. So look for a job description of a job you like and you would like to be doing, and then use those words, because that's the way they are going to find you. And also be active on LinkedIn. That helps a lot. It's hard. Some people are just like, oh, I think I'm bothering people. And it's like, nah, no one cares. Just post there and comment and like, and then it's how you get noticed. So I think now networking is everything as well. It's really important, and even more when you are changing careers, because if like for myself, if someone that is trying to change careers come to me now and ask me for help, I'll help them a lot. And I just try to be out there and people can see like what I've done, how I've done it, because I'd like to help other people to get there. But if you are not on LinkedIn or you are not looking for people, you will never get that help. And like myself, a lot of people are willing, and I think even more people who change careers are so happy to help other people that are trying to do the same. So it's a lot of work, but I think it pays off with time.
So what I'm hearing is the top tip for the CV, the resume, is to really move to the first page, like everything that is related to the job that you want.
Yeah, I would. It worked for me, and I think it will reflect good. Also, some people are like, oh, I want to have one-page CV. Honestly, I prefer 2 pages with good information than 1 page with no information, because you've just pushed everything together so you could fit it on 1 page. And in what, like, you need to have your contact information, and that takes space. So like, if you can do it in 1 page, that's great. I think it's also hard to read when you have too much information in just 1 page. But I think 2 pages with kind of your 2 lives, the one you want to get and the one you already have, and all those skills that you have that are really valuable. I think I'm doing great, and I feel like I am progressing fast because of all my previous experience. Like, I know how to work, I know how things are. I just need to, learn the technical part, but I know how to work and I know how to be part of a team. So that's something you only get working. It doesn't matter what you do, you get it for just the fact that you maybe have worked for 5 or 10 years. So that those are really valuable skills that other people want to have. And depending on the job you have, if it's customer facing, there are a lot of like other roles that might be better that are customer facing as well. And customer facing is customer facing. It doesn't matter where you do it, just you are dealing with different problems, but it boils down to be the same thing basically. So it's important to see that and also embrace that as part of your new career, and just take advantage of what you have already under your belt.
And And if people feel like they're not making any like headway with just the sort of like CV and cover letter applying, like what are some other tips that you have for kind of how to get your foot in the door?
Yeah, that's hard. I think like same looking for people who work in in a company you like. So I think a great way to start is just looking for open roles, because those companies will be willing to talk to you, even if it's to say no. They are looking for people, so it's easier to knock at that door and be like, "Hi, I'm looking for a job. Let's see if this works." So adding like recruiters. Some recruiters don't get back to people because they have too many messages, but I think pretty much all of them will. Like, I always try to get back to people if they ask me for advice on their CV or whatever it might be. So just trying that, and ask them like, what's what you're looking for, what are you doing, and then finding people that are in your same kind of situation, because they might know things you don't know. They might be applying for companies you don't know they are hiring and could be a good fit for you, or they could have got a job and they could be referring you. Like, I refer a lot of people from the Code Institute because I'm like, it's a great company, come join me. So and I'm doing it because I want them to do well, and now I have that kind of power. But same, if like someone reached out to me recently for a role and I was like, no, like I just started here, I'm happy, I don't want to move, but I'll share it with all these other people. So those connections help a lot to build that and to know about companies you might not know, or just keep asking other people, or even just looking at their LinkedIn and seeing where they've worked. If like for example, if someone looks at my profile, they'll see I started as a junior in this company, so that means that company hires for junior people. Some companies don't, so it might be a waste of time, go and apply there, but a lot of companies like to hire junior people, so those are the good companies to apply for. So it's a lot of research and LinkedIn work, but I think if you connect with the right people, it's good. Also, Twitter is, I've started to use Twitter a little bit more, and I've seen like the community there, it's also really good, so it's always worth a try as well to ask. I've seen people being like, oh, I'm looking for a job. If you know of any, yes, please let me know.
Cool. Yeah. The power of like keeping all these conversations going and trying to find help or connection in all these different places sounds like it really helps. Yeah.
It does.
Well, one other thing I wanted to ask you about is like a common perception is that when you're making a switch, like you did from one kind of professional role to another, that you necessarily have to start at like a more junior role, like take a pay cut or start a different, more junior role. What's your take on that?
I think it depends on what you are looking for. So at the beginning, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do software development or support, because I felt like maybe those like interpersonal skills would help me in more like, saying, customer facing, helping people with problems. So it was easier to get into a more kind of not super mid-level, but maybe starting mid-level there as a technical support. But then I was like, I think long term I won't like it, so I'll just give it my go to start as an engineer, and then I'm willing to get a pay cut and get out like junior level. So that's a hard part, and that's probably the scariest part when you are thinking about that, and it's something you also need to consider depending on your situation. But also, again, long term. So to move, I took like a 15% pay cut on the base, and then I had a bonus as well for depending on my my KPI, my targets, and all of that. So it was a big pay cut, but for me it was more important being happy, and I knew long term being a software developer will take me further in terms of like maybe leading a team, progressing. I know it will be fast, and I know if I get tired of being a software developer, I can go into project management or Scrum Master, or like it opened way more possibilities for me. So the money wasn't the most important thing for me. So I was like, I'll see how much I can get, and then I'll plan around that. Obviously, it might impact your your life, which is fair, but I think it works long term as well. So again, short term versus long term. So yes, I just got a raise as well, which I wasn't expecting at all because I haven't passed my probation. So that step back kind of took me further, so which is really good. And also before that, I always had to ask for it to happen. While here, it's been more like, okay, you're doing a great job. You deserve this, which I really appreciate as well. And it's also making me more engaged to the company. So I really think when you are happy at the work, that reflects also in what you're doing. So I think that helps to kind of achieve other things that for me, money wasn't as important, but it's happening as well. So it is.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, that's so great. Because I mean, it sounds like you very intentionally wanted to be in like a career path where people really, you were in demand, where people would come to you. Yes. And it sounds like where they're also like willing, like where there's money there and they're willing to invest in you.
Exactly. And it's also like the job is like in tech, it might change in a few years, but now it's like, so it is good because people respect you. And that's not something I didn't like when I was a recruiter. It's like people don't respect you as much because there are a lot of really bad recruiters out there. And unfortunately, that's just like, it makes you one of them, even if you are good. While in like software or tech companies, you see a lot of sense of community and everyone just wants to help each other to be better, which is also great. Like people always want to teach you something, want to help you to be better. And it is not like in recruitment, it's more like competing to promote because they can promote everyone. So you really need to show that you are the better one compared to the other people, and you show that through numbers basically most of the times, because if you're not performing well, you're not going to get a promotion. So it is a lot of things. I hope recruitment change, but it is just not as good as it should be.
Yeah. Well, Carolina, I've gotten so many great things from this conversation already. And and just hearing your story, I'm curious, is there any part before we start to wrap up, is there anything that you really felt like was important or that you really wanted to share that we might have missed?
No, like just for people really not to be scared to ask questions and to get in touch with other people, and also not afraid to make a change. Because if you are like, it's so long, it's so many years of your life that you really should be wasting something that doesn't make you happy.
Mm-hmm. Well, awesome. To wrap up, I want to ask you the 3 questions I ask every guest. And the first one is, what do you wish you had known before you took your leap?
Exactly that, like how supportive everyone is and the community, like the sense of community, and how encouraging people are and how helpful they are. Even sometimes like they don't ask anything in return. So I wish I knew sooner. So I would probably started to make those connections, and maybe I wouldn't have hesitated at the beginning, being like, oh, I'm not sure if I knew like those cases of success sooner. So hopefully I won't change careers, but next time I'll just do that research as soon as possible.
Awesome. And what was one of the most unexpected things that you found?
Of making
one of the most unexpected things of your leap. Yeah.
So being here, like being part of those people, like I've been trying to write a lot and like advocate for people to make the change and to like, to push through to do it. So I thought I always help people as a recruiter, but it's more like a case by case. And now I think I'm trying to reach to the community and to whoever it might be. So I wasn't expecting things would turn out. I just thought I would change careers and that was it. But I think there's more around it, and that sense of like wanting to help people to change and to be better and to do better and to succeed and be happy. because I think it's really important, and we just don't really value that happiness anymore, I think.
And what advice would you give to others who might be who considering a similar leap?
So if you wake up every day and be like, I don't want to do this, if you are on Friday just wishing not Monday to come, then start looking for something else. Worst case, you can always go back. Like maybe you realized you actually were super happy, but you didn't have like anything to compare. So just really sit, like COVID made me sit and think. And I think we just get into this kind of lifestyle we have, like we're going places, everything moving fast, and we just need to be there and do this and do that, and we don't think. But if you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, I don't want to do this, then start thinking about it. And if not, as I said, worst case, you can always go back. You'll have that new experience under your belt, and you probably will be more valued in a job in what you were doing first. So just really think about it, sit and think. It's so hard to think and discover you are not happy, but just give it a chance to see that, and then you realize maybe you were super happy, which is a great thing, or maybe you'll go find something else and then you'll be happy, which will be even better.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Carolina. I really appreciate all your ideas and tips today and just sharing your story with us. It has been really, I really get a sense of that desire to support and to encourage people. So if people want to connect with you or learn more about what you're up to, how can they do that?
So LinkedIn's probably the best place. So just my name, Carolina Cobo, and they'll find me. But I'm pretty much everywhere. I'm on Instagram and on Twitter, Facebook. So, whatever it might be, people would be comfortable, but I always get back to everyone on LinkedIn. So that's a good place to start at least.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for joining us. It's been a great conversation.